setting new standards in podcast excellence. You have joined the WBT, fully focused on business and taxes. Here is your host, Michael Lodge.
Welcome to the WBT. This is Michael Lodge. Glad you've joined me. I'm always happy that you're here with me. Listen, I sit in my office here. No one comes and talks to me, but I enjoy this time that I'm able to sit down and talk with you. So what is our conversation going to be about today? Well, really, it's a question. Are we at the brink of civil war in our nation? That's the question. Think about it. I'll be right back.
This is brought to you by Lodge & Co., a business and tax advisory firm where your success is our goal. Call us today toll-free at 888-681-1518 or visit us at www.lodge-co.com and learn more about what we can do for you. Lodge & Co., your source for sound business and tax services.
Yeah, so that's the question. The question to you, and the question goes to me also. Are we at the brink of civil war? Is the hate in this nation so strong over this impeachment that we're at the brink of civil war? I was reading last night and a little bit this morning about the Civil War of 1861. We had a brand new president. Brand new. And he wanted to end slavery in the United States. The only problem is, down south in the southern states, they did not believe that slavery should end. So they tried to, they tried to succeed from the rest of the United States. Just because they wanted to have their slaves. So they created the Confederate Army and they went to war against the United States. We had brothers and sisters fighting against each other, brothers against brothers, cousins against cousins, families against families, politicians against politicians, farmers against farmers. We had everybody who used to be friends fighting against each other, because you see, the meaning of civil war is people in the same country fighting against other people of the same country. You and I would be fighting against each other. We're at that point at this very moment in time. We have a nation that is completely divided, where we have families that won't even sit down at Thanksgiving with the rest of the family because you voted for the president. That's division. And that's the beginning of hate for one another. And the issue is that we have Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff driving this message of hate that now affects every American family. So I ask you, are we not at the beginning of civil war? We have Antifa that's out there for the Democrats, who are supported by Democrats. The Democrats will not even condemn them. And they're out there beating down old people in the middle of the street just because that person believes differently from what Antifa believes. That is civil war, the beginning of civil war, where you have fractions breaking off. Same thing happened in the Civil War of 1861. The beginning of the KKK, going out and causing unrest between people who believed in the freedom of slaves. So you had this group out there causing havoc, hanging people from the tree, attacking them physically, burning down their houses. Antifa does the same thing. I believe, and I feel in the pits of my stomach, because it's churning all the time because of this hate that's out there, is that when you try to take down a president, you're starting civil war. And I think we should warn these politicians very heavily. The more you act upon dividing a nation, there will be civil war in the streets. You can't even, if you believe a certain way, if you go to another part of the city where they don't believe in what you believe, they attack you physically, verbally, spitting on you. When Americans go and speak at colleges, they can hardly get in to speak because they are being attacked. They have to sneak in through the back door. So civil liberties are being abused. They're being attacked. Freedom of speech is being attacked. And the politicians, instead of saying, okay, we need to follow the constitutional guidelines that are there. The Constitution was set in stone and said, this is the foundation of the laws of the United States. So if you're going to be tried, you have to have the ability to defend yourself. That's fairness. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty, instead of guilty until you prove them innocent. In fact, sometimes in political law, that's how it runs. You are guilty. You are guilty. And you may never be innocent because they won't allow it. So I ask you this question. Are we at the stage or the brinks of civil war in this nation? I don't ever want to think that would ever happen. I don't even want to think, but I have to look at what's happening around me and in Washington, D.C., and on campuses and in cities and on streets. I see people, Americans attacking other Americans. That is the beginning of a civil war. I want you to think very carefully about who you voted into office. I don't care if you're Democrat, Independent, Republican. I want you to think very carefully about who you have voted into that office that's supposed to be representing you. Does he or she represent your goals for the United States? Do they represent the goals for your family or for your business? Do you think that individual is going to protect you, or are they going to protect the party that they're a member of before they'll even help an American? Because that's what I'm seeing right now, is that politicians are not listening to you and me. Instead, they're listening to the party that they are a member of, because, again, the whole issue is power. They want their power back. They don't believe in President Trump. They don't believe he's legitimate, so they want to kick him out of office, even though you and I, or other Americans, have voted him into office. When you have that situation happening, you have politicians who are playing with our lives, with our success. Politicians have no right to be in office if all of their focus is on hate. I don't care if you're Democrat or Republican. If a Democrat was in there and the Republicans were hating, they shouldn't be in office. In fact, that's what happened in an election where the Democrats under Obama had the House, the Senate, and the presidency. But they lost it because they became so political. We as Americans have got to stop this political age of our nation and come back to the common sense of what is right and what is wrong, what is good and what is bad for this nation. It doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republicans, we have got to agree on what is right and good for this nation. And if they are going to attack the presidency, if they're going to attack the Constitution, then we have come to a bad spot. I remember Henry Cabot Lodge, he says, the nation is going to stumble. But if we stumble too far, then you have to be very careful because our liberties will be taken from us. When we stumble and fall as a nation, all the other nations are at danger also. Because we are that hope and we are that beacon of what every other nation looks at, because they know America will keep their word. That they will come to the aid of any nation who gets into trouble. When there's a hurricane, we are there. When there's a tornado, we are there. If there is a bombing, we are there. We are a nation that gives. And we have to remain a nation that other countries look up to because they see us as a nation that is an ethical nation. But when they see stuff like this happening where, listen, I have been in third world countries where there's been coups before. I have been in the Philippines when there has been a coup. And let me tell you, it is not a pretty situation. You've got people I used to have a call center in the Philippines. And when they were always trying to take down the government, it disrupted the streets so no employees could get in or out. You didn't know if you were going to be attacked or shot at or what was going to happen. I have been in the situation in the Philippines where I've had my driver shot at. So I know what happens when there's a coup. I know what happens when there's people trying to take over another country. It's not a pretty thing. It's an evil thing because they don't let democracy play itself out. They want their way right now. They want their power back right now. And that's where we are right now with the United States and the Democrats in Congress at the moment, portraying an army of hate against a president and a nation, against the Constitution, against the rule of law, against the principle of everyone is innocent until proven guilty. So I ask that question one more time before I leave. Are we at civil war? And if we are, what are you going to do about it as an American? What are you going to do about it as an American? I'll talk with you soon. This is Mike Lodge. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the WBT with Michael Lodge. Join us again tomorrow as we explore more about business and taxes. Follow us on iHeartRadio and go to our podcast website at www.wbtpod.com and listen to all of our podcasts and read our blogs.
This podcast has been produced by Michael Lodge, fully focused on content.